Our guest today is one of Britain's best loved and well-respected mediums, Tony Stockwell. Hi Tony.
Hello there. Yeah,
Lovely
okay.
to meet you again.
Nice to see you again.
Now, we film here my programmes
Uh-huh.
at the Orwell Hotel in Felixstowe, but you're going to be working in a bit after this.
That's right, yeah. Got a demonstration.
Uh-huh.
So, like any demonstration really, I think there's a couple of hundred people downstairs potentially. So I should go along and do my best.
Yeah.
That's all I can do.
How do you prepare for an event?
It depends really on my state of mind. If I'm particularly relaxed that day, I don't need much of a preparation other than maybe 5 minutes on my own to be aware of the space either side of me, which sounds strange, but I become more aware of that space because that's where I'll feel people from the spirit will come and stand either to my left or my right.
Uh-huh.
If I've had a particularly stressful day or an incredibly long journey, I might take 20 minutes to sit with my eyes closed, sometimes hum along or sing a song. I do anything that kind of gets me into me rather than having to worry about what's going on the outside. So it depends on the day.
Okay. Now, most people will recognise you from the television, big theatres around the country, or your books. But you do work damned hard in between, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, I think the public don't realise you do smaller events.
Yeah, lots of. I still do lots of spiritualist churches as well because I'm still very much a spiritualist, and I owe a lot to spiritualism. From my first beginnings. So I was only 16 when I first went to a spiritualist church, and they gave me so much encouragement and understanding and the philosophy behind the mediumship. And I think that's something we lack massively now. People don't want to, in the main, put in kind of the probation or the service to the churches and its foundation, which is fine because maybe people come about things in a totally different way, but for me it's still very important. So churches I still do, and I travel outside of the UK quite a lot now, so that obviously takes time up.
So you work in churches, you know about life after life. So has mediumship or clairvoyance got you onto a God link? Have you looked into God at all?
Yeah, for me it's fundamental, it's all the same.
Yeah.
So I very much believe in God. I very much believe in God, the Great Spirit. It's a big part of who I am, but it's not kind of like the God as other people see God. The Christian idea of a man looking over us, or it's not that at all. It's an energy. It is the universe. It's you. It's me. It's a power of love, and all of that might sound a bit naff to say it and a bit twee, but it's all of those things. So God is everything that is loving and good. So devotion to God is a huge part of what I'm about every day. So I'm at times quite prayerful, but again not in a religious way, and I sometimes will sing mantras or maybe do some chanting if that gets me into that space. But once you actually start to experience the power that exists around us, it's immense, and it becomes quite addictive. So it's not quite like meditation where people go into themselves and sometimes use music or visualization to get to a space where their mind can be clear. It's actually very energetic, very wonderful and very powerful. And it's to sit in the awareness of the energy that's around us that kind of helps us to focus on who we are, the greatest part of us, which is the spirit within. All of that's kind of like a bit lengthy, but it makes you feel fantastic.
So do you meditate every day?
No, I don't meditate as in sitting around and going to a meditation, but I do a lot of contemplation. So I could be driving the car and be aware. I could be walking the dogs and be in a different space. So I guess it's all about entering into another like consciousness. So we talk of altered states, the altered states of consciousness, but you can do that. I mean, I'm in an altered state of consciousness now just talking to you, which effectively it's almost like being normal, but it's slightly removed from that because I'm experiencing a state of kind of like a elation, but in a very controlled, happy way. And that's because I'm about to work, so I'm already experiencing the feelings of people from the other world gathering close to
Really?
me.
Mind you, having said that, I'm slightly removed from normality myself.
Maybe it's a nice place to be in at times.
Not bad, yeah. Doesn't go down well sometimes, but let's not go there. Tony, what does mediumship mean to you?
Mediumship means to me the ability to link my mind to the mind of those who have passed before us, to interpret that information and then being able to put it in a language others understand and speak my truth, you know. So the language of mediumship in itself is far more complicated than we recognise, and yet it's also incredibly simple. But learning to interpret the subtle feelings that the spirit world come in with to begin with, and then trying to hone that so you know who they are, who they were, how they want to be perceived, what is their message that they wish to bring, what they actually want to say. So I do all of that in the service of those without voices, which is of course the spirit people, and those people that are effectively sleepwalking, which is the people that live in this world. And I say sleepwalking, it's like they're alive and aware, and yet they're not aware of their own truth, their own power, their own inheritance of the spirit, that they're going to move on from this world into the spirit world, that their mum still exists even though she's passed. And I do all of that stuff in the hope that I can pass on a message that effectively will liberate the living, because the spirit know that they've gone, and the spirit know they've been here. It's for the living that we have to serve, and it's also, I guess, giving those who have passed another opportunity rather to say, hello, I love you, it's me. And that in turn you hope has a massive far-reaching effect on the living.
Is it possible to improve one's own mediumship?
Of course, absolutely. It improves all the time.
Yeah.
So my old tutor once told me that mediumship in itself is best demonstrated once it's been perfected, which is usually when somebody's in their 70s. So mediumship is usually at its height when somebody's in their 70s. If they've been working at it for a number of years, or maybe 30, 40 years, it'd even be better. It matures with age like a good wine. And as long, and this may sound a little bit disrespectful to some, but as long as you can keep your mind, you know, as long as you don't end up with Alzheimer's, depression, dementia, anything that affects the mind, then you'll lose your mediumship. If your mind is clear, it gets better with age, and simply because we talk of this language of mediumship. If I feel a man come close to me, and he was born in Venezuela, and his wife was German, and his kids were brought up in Poland, I might struggle with those geographical references when I was 20, because I've lived a life and potentially I may have been to those countries by then. I will know those crucial pieces of information, because it was once said by a medium called Gordon Higginson, who's a very famous medium who's now passed, that mediumship is the mirror of the mind. You have to kind of know it to be able to interpret it. Right. And so that's why it gets better when you get older, because you have more references,
more experiences
to draw upon.
So if Tony Stockwell wasn't a medium, what would he be?
I'd probably still be working in London, still working in accounts offices. I worked for quite a number of years for different shipping companies in their accounts offices, doing foreign exchange and that kind of thing. And it's a job I enjoyed. You know, I was quite good at that. I'm quite good at numbers and that kind of thing. So I left there really to pursue. So I don't like the word a career, but certainly my vocation in working. If I hadn't had the vocation, then I no doubt would be working a 9 to 5 up in town, up off the embankment, and I'd be happy enough. It was a good job. It was fine.
Now, I met you once down at your studio in Wickford. How's it going down there?
Yeah, really well.
Yeah, busy?
Really well, yeah. We have between 120 and 150 students a week. that go through depending on the term.
Yeah.
So that's with me and a medium called Lynn Probert, Natalie Walker, and on occasion Amanda Gray. So between the four of us, plus guest speakers, we're very lucky to have Mavis Patilla, who visits us from Manchester, who's an amazing medium. So between us all, we tutor that many people per week. And so and we can't do more than that. You know, we're kind of bursting at the seams a little bit. So no, we're very happy there. We kind of thought about expanding and getting new premises and a new venue, but it's literally one big room and a small room above a wedding shop. It's very quiet, off the high street, and it suits the purpose. You would never know you were up there, to be fair. You know, people on the outside don't know we're there. It's a little road, you know, a little door rather, just off the pavement, and you walk in and it's like a little piece of heaven when you're up there. For me anyway, it's full of spirit, and it suits our purpose, certainly.
But you get clients, or are they called customers, clients, pupils,
students, delegates, maybe students
from all over the world.
Well, this week we've had them from Dubai for readings. They've come for readings from me. So they've been from Dubai. They've come from last week someone from Brazil came in, all for one-to-ones. But for teaching, again, just this week we've had them from Paris. They came in, and from Gibraltar as well. But I teach quite a lot in Gibraltar anyway and demonstrate there, so people will come over for different classes if they can. But I don't particularly like them coming a long way, because it's a massive responsibility and the pressure's on. If I'm doing a one-to-one and they've come from Kent or they've come from Sussex and it goes brilliantly well, but if it kind of, I think it could have been better than that, they've got an hour to get home. If they've come in from Dubai, it's terrible. Lucky enough, touch wood, they've all gone really well.
Well, when I came down, it took me about 10 minutes, because I used to live around the corner.
Oh, really? Well.
Both been Essex. You're from Essex, aren't you?
Born in London.
Born in London, actually.
Yeah, born in London. My family are Londoners.
Right.
And then, like most people from the East End, that moved to Essex.
Yeah. So we're not actually Essex boys then together.
No, you're born in London as well?
Hornchurch.
Hornchurch, oh yeah. Okay.
Not far.
No.
In your private life, do spirit catch you off guard? Or, I mean, you work so often, can you shut down yourself?
Yeah. You never shut down. The truth of it is that mediums never shut down or open up.
Right.
They only ever shift their awareness. So my awareness could be going to Waitrose to do my shopping and then to walk the dogs, and I'm within that space concentrating. I can choose to almost walk the middle path at times, and do my shopping. I can take my mind somewhere else and still manage to successfully do the shop. But when I want to demonstrate, I just simply shift my awareness pretty much from the physical into the spiritual world, and that ebbs and flows depending on the demonstration. If I can't hear my audience, they can't hear me. If I can't see them, if they can't see me, if someone's particularly quiet, I'm having to bring myself back. Do you understand? Is it for you? Is this true? Madam, please speak to me. Then I'm having to come back into this world. Right. If someone's very vocal and very happy with me, then I'm able, for a good few minutes at a time, to be fully aware of what's going on here, because I've got the stimulus of, oh my God, that's correct, I understand. A difficult person, of someone that's reticent, fearful, for whatever reason, they don't know it, but they draw the medium's mind back into the room, and you don't want to be in the room. No. You're actually here physically, but your mind needs to be here. So yeah, it's trying to educate your audience really, how to respond, I suppose.
So you don't, like some mediums, you don't open up using chakras and closing down? You don't?
No, not at all. No, right. I was taught that way years ago, but it's never worked for me. I like things to be dead simple. I'm here, I'm talking to you, and now I'm here, and I'm talking to them, and now I'm talking to you. Yeah. And it's like almost like a valve, I suppose, of the mind. Yeah. It's a very simple thing. I think with mediumship, people try to make it far more complicated than it is. It's very easy. We have an awareness here, and we have an awareness here, and that's how I teach.
All right. Well, I've taught something else tonight. Yeah. I've learned.
You've learned. So. Yeah, there you go.
How do you relax, Tony?
Relax when I'm not working. I'm usually at home. I've recently moved, so we're decorating the house. My dad's a decorator. He's recently retired in the last few years, so he's been around most days. My sister and my dad really to decorate, so I've been enjoying that. I've got a little house in Gran Canaria, and I've been renovating that as well. So that's been trips out there and sourcing materials, which might sound quite mundane, but I quite like it. So it's really a great distraction, you know, trying to get stuff for houses. I like it. I should have been an estate agent. I like houses. I like buildings. So that's been good for me. I've got my dogs, so I'm forever with them over the field, walking them, clipping them, working with them, and then just visiting my family, visiting my niece. She's nearly 5, and so I'm taking her to ballet and you know, getting her hair cut and stuff like that. So there's always plenty of family things to do. I don't really have time for a hobby as such, because when I was working in a regular job, spirit work was my passion, my hobby, my outlet. So I've been in a very fortunate position where I'm actually you know, working within the thing that I like to do the most, you know. So it's almost like being a train spotter, and then somebody says, "You actually, well, I'm going to pay you to be a train spotter." You'd be, you know, think it's the most amazing thing in the world. So I'm very lucky that I live the passion.
Now I've got to ask you, when I met you last time, you were thinking about buying a horse.
Yeah, it didn't happen.
You didn't do that.
Didn't happen, unfortunately. I kind of thought, I was feeding horses yesterday. I went and bought some carrots for them. So where I live now, I've moved, and I'm just by a little lake, and just to the other side, there's horses everywhere. So I can get over and see the horses. And part of the reason I checked my dogs with horses, and they were rubbish. Dogs don't like the horses, and the horses didn't like the dogs. And I thought, it's going to be another distraction, more time away. So now I'm going to have to work it between a horse and the dogs. But the idea was just to get everyone get out on the field and we'd all be together. But they're terriers, and they just don't like it. So it didn't happen.
Tony, I best let you go. You've got a job to do.
Yeah, job to do, of course.
Good luck. Thank
you very much indeed for your time. Appreciate it.
Pleasure having you on my show.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
And if you'd like to know more about Tony and his work, log on to www.tonystockwell.com. Thanks, Tony.
No problem at all. Thank you.